NCAA Women's Championship presented on ESPN by Capital One. We are in Lincoln, Nebraska, where the pursuit of perfection and the quest for a ninth national championship for Gino Auriemma and company continues as they take on in the Sweet 16 the Cougars of BYU. They've already pulled off a couple of upsets to get here, including Nebraska. The Huskers had hoped to host this game today. Time to check out the bracket now in the Lincoln Regional. The winner will face either Texas A&M or DePaul. We anticipate a very entertaining second game tonight. And then on the other side of the bracket, the Stanford region is the only region in which the top 4 seeds all made it through to the Sweet 16. And we welcome you to Lincoln. Pam Ward along with Carolyn Peck. LaChana Robinson will be joining us very shortly. So BYU, here they are. They have been really the upset team so far in this tournament, but they're taking on the big dogs in Connecticut.
And they have to come to this game not intimidated by the name that is across the chest. A lot of teams, you're defeated before the game started just because it's against UConn.
And we'll see how well they start off today. Time to go to the third member of our team in LaChana Robinson.
The number one concern coming into this game for Jeff Judkins is the mental intimidation in the name UConn. And he shared a story with his team about his days in the NBA and his first time facing his idol, Dr. Julius Erving. He said on the first possession defending him, he dunked on me. I had to wake up very clearly and say to myself, I deserve to be here. I have to play fearless basketball, and he hopes that his team does the same thing today.
That certainly has been the message that he has been giving his players as we go one-on-one, Carolyn, and Connecticut with the stoutest defense in the nation.
Well, they've got backstop 6'3", 6'4", and 6'5". With the pressure from the guards, forcing the penetration with the confidence that they know they've got the post to block shots. But now BYU, they've got a shot blocker of their own. Actually, the #1 shot blocker in the nation in Jennifer Hampson. She stands at 6'7". She's also a volleyball player for BYU, so her timing is excellent.
6.5 blocks per game in the NCAA tournament so far. As we take a look at tonight's Capital One starting lineups, Kylie Maeda is the point guard for BYU. Lexi Eaton, their second leading scorer at 17 points per game behind Hampson. And for the Huskies, not much of a bench this year, but their starters are absolutely terrific. Brianna Stewart, National Player of the Year candidate, but Mariah Jefferson has had a terrific year.
You see the quickness and transition of the Huskies led by Mariah Jefferson.
And she has been a defensive stalwart for them as well. This is a terrific crowd. Even though Nebraska didn't make it, the people here have used their tickets and they are on hand to see UConn play.
Now, BYU, Jeff Judkins said that he felt like he could defend Connecticut, and I think he has a lot of confidence having 6'7" Jennifer Hampson, and she affected that shot.
She sure did, as Stewart missed badly on her first shot attempt. BYU, the third 12th seed ever to make the Sweet 16. We just talked about how Jefferson is a good thief. And that really is her game.
And now Connecticut bringing the pressure with a 1-2-2 3/4 court press.
Jefferson, such a pest back there. BYU out of the West Coast Conference lost the West Coast Tournament Final to Gonzaga.
Now Connecticut in a man-to-man. See, this is the toughest thing. Everybody talks about Connecticut's offense. It's their defense that is so impressive. And BYU has got to make shots.
They got to get a shot off first. And there's Stewart with the block shot on Beeston with the desperation shot. Beeston is only about 5'11". Stewart at 6'4". Jefferson with a couple, nope, she misses that one after the steal and put in.
Lexi Eaton is wide open.
Off the mark. Jefferson's able to go in there and get the rebound.
It was Beeston that was open on the other side, but Lexi Easton took a contested shot.
And a 10-second violation because Jefferson was kind of lollygagging back there and also
she was
talking to Gino.
With Gino, and it's a new rule in the women's game this year is the 10-second backcourt. You have got to get the ball across the half-court line within that by the 10 seconds.
Brian Burnett, Penny Davis, and Bruce Morris, our officials this afternoon. Burnett is the lead official. Bailey left open, and she hits it for 3. Morgan Bailey is the niece of Thurl Bailey, who also wore number 41 back when NC State was an upset winner in the men's tournament in the early 80s. And that's an example of what Stephanie Dolson does so well, a great pass. UConn takes the lead at 4-3, trying to go inside to Hampson, who is yet to get a shot off. Hampson at 6'7", was the West Coast Conference Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. And as Carolyn mentioned in the open, not just a great volleyball player, how about an All-American volleyball player? Redshirted this past fall. Tried to get it inside, and it is deflected off a UConn player. And here's a headline already. UConn actually has trailed in this game, albeit for just 14 seconds, but they haven't trailed very much at all in this perfect season. Easton guarded by...
They've got to be patient, but get good shots.
Bailey, who just hit the three, backed that off, and there's the turnaround by Eaton that is off the mark. Jefferson leading the charge. Stewart, the toughest matchup perhaps in the country, went left-handed and left it short, but then Jefferson just took it away. Stewart got fouled. Mariah Jefferson has been all over the place in the first 2.5 minutes of this game.
And talking about the defense of Connecticut, you know, Gino kind of graded them for us, and he said when it comes to one-on-one defense, Mariah Jefferson is above average. She gave everybody else about a C, maybe a C plus a B, but he talked about specifically Mariah Jefferson, her intensity and she knows when to take chances too defensively.
The only above average one-on-one defender that he graded.
You watch, she is just aware all the time of where the basketball is and anticipates her movement. That's why she was able to take the ball away from Maeda.
And because of that steal, Brianna Stewart has her first 2 points of the game. BYU off and running. And Lexi Eaton gets her first basket at 15 points in the upset win over Nebraska in Los Angeles. Dolson rolls one in from the left side. Stephanie Dolson, one of 3 Huskies who are Wade Trophy finalists for Player of the Year in the nation. Ball deflected. Maeda is fouled by Hartley, who is going hard for the loose ball.
Watch this press break by BYU, and the key when you're breaking a press is to get the ball in the middle of the floor. They don't. They push it up the sideline, get it back to the middle, and that allows Lexi Eaton to be open for the jumper at the free throw line.
UConn with a 3-point lead. Notre Dame has won today, beating Oklahoma State, so they're still perfect. Hampson gets fouled out there. Going right at Dolson.
6'7", shot fake, put the ball on the floor and go by. That shows her agility, and I think that's a transfer from her volleyball days. Able to move, not just a stationary post player.
First foul on Dolson on a team that has been the best in the nation at not committing fouls. Gino Auriemma says they practice not fouling all season long. Mosqueda Lewis, a lethal 3-point shooter, but instead tried to get it inside to Stewart.
But that's good transition defense by BYU. As quickly as Connecticut can get the ball down the floor, Jennifer Hansen had to come out and guard Kalina Mosqueda Lewis. Morgan Bailey backed her up underneath the basket.
And the transition defense, very important for BYU. Mosqueda Lewis too strong. Bailey comes up with the miss. Hampson really runs well for someone who's 6'7", got down the floor quickly for the Cougars. Bailey again has a couple of them from out there.
BYU ain't scared.
No, they have passed the scared or not scared test. Hartley off the mark. Maeda, the small guard from Honolulu, able to chase it down. She had an ACL last year, an injury late in the season. And a charge called on Eaton. So BYU hanging in there with the #1 Huskies. Bailey has a couple of threes, and we're tied in Lincoln as we take a timeout. BYU had a magic moment indeed in Los Angeles last week where they ran into Magic Johnson after they upset Nebraska to get to the Sweet 16, and Magic told the team about playing UConn. He said, don't be afraid, just play your game. And Carolyn Peck, so far in the first 4.5 minutes, they've done just that for Coach Judson.
Jeff Judkins has them prepared. They believed, and when he met with us yesterday, he said, we feel like we can guard Connecticut. If you've got that kind of confidence on the defensive side of the thing, then the only thing you have to worry about is making shots.
Jeff Judkins in his 13th year, his 8th, 20th win season for BYU. Bria Hartley comes off the curl, and that is off the mark, and Hampson comes down with another rebound. She has yet to score. UConn 0 for 4 from three-point range so far. Bailey has 6 points for BYU on 2 threes. She only had 9 threes all season and has 2 already today. And Jefferson is the peskiest little player out there. Gets another steal. Mosqueda Lewis. UConn still can't hit from distance, but Dolson's able to clean up.
But on Kalina Mosqueda Lewis's shot, Jennifer Hampson came out there. I think she affected that shot.
And obviously, they're not used to seeing somebody that big. Brittany Griner was a senior last year and about an inch taller than Hampson. And more Husky defense. And then Eaton is called for her second foul.
But look at the effect Jennifer Hampson has. Rebounding with the bigs, gets the ball away from Stephanie Dolson, and then affects Kalina Mosqueda Lewis's three-point attempt. What that does is it pull her away from the basket. She can block the shot and rebound.
So BYU right now with Lexi Eaton with 2 personal fouls, and their second leading scorer heads to the bench. Checking in for her, number 11, Jojan Harry, a junior guard. Mosqueda Lewis, pull from the outside. Another 3. Bailey 2 for 2 on her first attempts from out there, but missed that one. And Jefferson, who has 4 steals already for UConn, gets it up to Hartley. Hartley took it right to Harry, who just checked into the game and drew the foul.
Lexi Eaton going to the bench in foul trouble. She is the one player for BYU that can be that playmaker. Gino Ariema said the one concern that he has is teams that have players that can go one-on-one and get his team into some foul trouble. She's that player, but she's in foul trouble herself.
She had 25 points, did Eaton, in the first-round upset win over NC State. 5'11" sophomore first-team All-West Coast Conference performer on the bench with 2 personals. And Hartley missed them both. How about that? 73% free throw shooter. And UConn still only up by 2.
If you're BYU and you're looking at the score, you're only down 2. You're like, hey, ooh, that was a big block by Brianna Stewart. She went upstairs for that one.
2 great shot blockers meet, and Stewart was able to get that block. UConn has more blocks than any team in the country. 17 seconds left on the shot clock. Hampson and Dolson battling on the low post. Screen from Maeda leaves Harry open. Dolson able to get in front of Hampson to get the rebound. Bailey with the defensive assignment on Stewart, and that ball was kicked around by Stewart. And the ball goes over to BYU. UConn 36-0. They've won 42 straight games overall, going back to the NCAA tournament last year.
Connecticut's a team that averages 83 points a game. BYU so far keeping them in check offensively.
Dolson gets the Harry miss. And then pops it in at the top of the key. She has half of UConn's points so far in this game. The lead extends to 4. Big Mama Steph, as she is known on her Twitter account, also has 6 rebounds.
She's got to get involved offensively. She has been missed a couple of times with setting on ball screen. She was open on the roll. Guards were taking shots. They got to get her the ball.
Hampson in the low post. With difficulty getting it to her. She's blanketed by Dolson. Shot clock at 4. Bailey trying to get it over. Stewart! And somehow she got it over her and put it in.
We're making the NBA connection. Morgan Bailey is the niece of Thurl Bailey, who played in the NBA.
And also part of that incredible 1983 NC State team. won the national championship. Timeout. UConn only up 2 on BYU, a team that has been beating teams by 36 points per game, the highest scoring margin in the country. Rolling through the American Conference this year, including 3 decisive wins over Louisville.
And you saw Gino Auriemma over there given the speed it up symbol. He is not liking the tempo of this ball game. And he told us before the game, he said, I don't know how BYU lost the games that they did. They're pretty darn good. He said, but you can't let them think. If they do, they'll pick you apart.
And that one is thrown over towards the sports information director for UConn. But boy, Morgan Bailey has come up big, not known as being a three-point shooter. This time it's a 2 that goes in.
Look, she's showing that the Cougars have no fear. It doesn't matter that it says UConn. She still can see the basket.
To Lincoln, the beautiful Pinnacle Bank Arena, a new building here, and major props to the Nebraska fans who have shown up, even though their team was upset by BYU. And as you might expect, most of them seem to be cheering for the underdog in this game, and so far BYU has kept up with the Huskies. Brianna Stewart pops out for a 3, and they have been cold from out there. Hampson coming down with yet another rebound as BYU continues to play without Lexi Eaton, their second leading scorer, on the bench with a couple of personal fouls.
Well, what Jeff Judkins told me before the game is he said, Brianna Stewart, she does a lot of her damage in the paint. He would rather her have to take outside shots.
Turnover gives it back to the Huskies. They have yet to go to their bench so far in this game, and that's an extra step by Bria Hartley. Let's go over to LaChina Robinson.
Well, in the last time out, Gino Auriemma may be looking to make some adjustments. On the offensive end, he may look to run more isolation plays with Bria Hartley and Brianna Stewart in the 2-man game on one side, looking for a favorable matchup. On the defensive end, he may look to pick up full court once they hit a bucket and speed up the pace of this game.
And the 3 nailed by Kim Beeston, their best three-point shooter, averages almost 3 makes per game.
And you got to guard her. Over 77% of her shots come from the three-point line.
Brianna Stewart has missed a couple of threes in a row, and inside Mosqueda Lewis with the chance for the kind of three-point play we're not used to seeing her get. She doesn't get to the free throw line all that often.
Well, Kalena Mosqueda Lewis inside. Broke the plane of verticality. I know you love that, Pam Ward. And that's why Kim Beeston's called for the foul.
You know when I say verticality is everything in life. Mosqueda Lewis, this is only her 24th free throw attempt of the season, but she's made a blistering 23 of them. And UConn skips back on top. BYU is yet to take a free throw.
Stephanie Rivetti, she hit threes against Nebraska. Was one of those players that Connie Yorey chose not to guard. And she made the Cornhuskers pay.
Yep, hit a couple of them. And that's the first basket for Hampson, averaging 18 points per game. At 6'7", so nifty. Very athletic. And we're tied. Mosqueda Lewis is posting up down there, and there's the block by Hampson. Inside, Stewart this time trying to stop Hampson, and she blocks her for the second time.
I can't believe that that was not a foul when Kim Beeston's foul was on Mosqueda Lewis.
But no foul call, but then the Huskies turn it over and give it right back to the Cougars.
Hampson comes over there defensively. She helps out. She gets a piece of that one. Mosqueda Lewis didn't get it, and this should be a foul. She got her on the arm, down on the elbow. She didn't reach that ball.
So a break for the Huskies. Good catch by Hampson. Puts it up and in.
You know what I love? Play through the contact. Jennifer Hampson did not beg for a foul. She finished and got back on defense.
Just keeps on playing. This is the first year that she has been at every practice for basketball because she has split her time between basketball and volleyball. Will play volleyball in the fall for BYU, and that's a sweet pass from Stewart to Dolson. Dolson with a solid 8 points and 7 rebounds, and we are now tied at 17. Betty, that's a lob that most players wouldn't be able to get near, but not so with Hampson. Knocked out of bounds by Mosqueda Lewis, who is coming back. Had both elbows hurt this year, also missed some games because of mononucleosis. Says she's at 100% right now. Beeston, tough turnaround over Hartley.
And Hartley looked at Gino like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Gino might have some answers for them at halftime. We approach 8 minutes to go here in the first half. Stewart puts her head down, drives on Bailey, left it short, stayed with it. And Brianna Stewart is cold from the floor as Bailey hits the deck.
She's got a contact issue.
Contact lens has gone loose. And now she's going to pop it right back in. How about Brianna Stewart, 0 for 6 from the floor so far in this game. Just a couple of points from the free throw line. The big girl on the other side, after a slow start, they're finding her, and she's doing all right.
6'7", Jennifer Hampson. UConn doesn't have anything so far that can match with that. Keep feeding her down.
Welcome back to Lincoln, where so far BYU has a 2-point lead over UConn. Moments ago, LaChina Robinson caught up with Jeff Judkins.
Coach, you've got a 2-point lead on Connecticut right now. What's working for your team?
Morgan Bailey, I think she's hit some big shots for us, and she's looking to score. I think defensively, we've done a good job of giving them one shot. We've given a couple, second and third shots, but really, and then getting back in transition.
Lexi Eaton in foul trouble. How do you adjust for the rest of the half without her?
Well, I might try to put her in here, and I don't know. She's a good player about playing with 2 fouls. I've done it all year. I might take that risk.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Let's take a look. His answer for why they're doing well, Morgan Bailey.
It's the 4th leading scorer on the team that came out against Connecticut and said, I ain't scared. Give me the ball. You give me room. I will knock down shots. And she has delivered for the Cougars. She has already hit 2 threes, and she is not afraid to look for her shot.
And those are the 10th and 11th threes of the season that she has hit. Bailey is coming off a season high, or a career high, tying 18 points against Nebraska in the second round. And now she is on the bench taking a well-deserved breather.
And Gino Ariema has put Brianna Stewart on the bench and has brought in Kia Stokes.
And this is the first substitute in for UConn. And Bria Hartley, who has yet to score today, has just picked up her second personal foul. Hartley and Brianna Stewart are combined 0 for 8 from the floor for UConn. There's some good defense on the trap on Harry. They're able to get away with it. Beeston nails the 3. And this is the largest deficit of the season that UConn has faced. Short-lived as it is, as Jefferson is able to score. They had only trailed by 4 points, their largest deficit of the season, against Central Florida earlier this year. And a giveaway. Hartley to Jefferson. Gets it over to Stokes. Dolson left wide open. And more often than not, she'll hit from that spot. And now Rivetti slows down. Started to put on the Jets, and her head coach said, just take it easy, and she did just that. Tempo is important.
Well, and Connecticut is allowing BYU to think, to move the basketball, and Gino Ariema said that they are very similar to Stanford. When you allow that team to pick apart offensively and run what they want to run, they're very dangerous.
Shot clock winding down. Shot by Rivetti, well off the mark. Hartley on the move.
Good transition defense, though, by BYU.
Dolson could not hang on to it cleanly. Mosqueda Lewis all alone and yelling for the ball over on the right wing. Now settles on the baseline. Clock inside of 10 seconds. Dolson got Hampson up in the air and then got blocked by Hampson. She thought she got rid of the 6'7" player, but she was wrong. Another one, this time off the rim. Beeston with the miss. UConn has yet to hit a 3 today, 0 for 7 from distance. But they have Jefferson who gets hammered as she goes aggressively to the basket.
Jeff Judkins said he believed he could defend Connecticut. I did not necessarily believe him, but he has his team believing, and I would too. When you've got a 6'7" player like Jennifer Hampson who can rotate over, and her timing, it's just like a volleyball block on the net. That kind of timing.
And she is just really starting to get her basketball timing. Playing full-time for the first time in her career. Frozen Four in Philadelphia fills its final 2 spots tomorrow in a men's hockey doubleheader starting when the puck drops at 5 Eastern on ESPNU, and watch ESPN. Follow every championship at NCAA.com, the official online home for all 89 NCAA championships. And Jefferson hitting a couple of free throws. Hampson on the bench right now for BYU.
And Brianna Stewart is back in the game. So without Hampson, how effective will Stewart be?
And they are discernibly shorter now. And the Huskies with Dolson and Stokes in the back.
And the Huskies went to a zone.
Beeston firing away. The best defender on this team is also a pretty good three-point shooter. In fact, their best three-point shooter, Dolson. Boy, that's terrific defense under there by Bailey. And the ball goes over to the Cougars.
BYU making the Connecticut zone shift. The screen of the top of the zone allows Kim Beeston just enough time to get her shot off and knock down that 3.
That is UConn's 6th turnover and another Beeston shot. Beeston with 13 and the lead is 6. Mosqueda Lewis answers.
Connecticut going to a man-to-man. They know they can't be in a zone because Beeston right now is like radar to the basket.
Ball gets away and into the hands of Brianna Stewart. Fans wanted to push off. Mosqueda Lewis has been aggressive around the basket and is fouled on the putback attempt. That foul was on Bailey. She has a couple, but so far it's BYU with the lead.
Kevin Nagani in studio with Kara Lawson and Rebecca Lobo. UConn has never trailed at the half. Right now down by 4 to BYU, Rebecca.
This is a high-powered offense, normally shooting only 36%. Brianna Stewart only 0 for 6 so far.
Kim Beeston is beasting out there. 3 threes in the first half. 13 points.
All right, we'll break it down much more. Northwestern Mutual halftime report. We'll take a look as well as the Notre Dame and Baylor advancing. Back to Pam and Carolyn.
Beeston has indeed been beasted out here. She scored their last 10 points.
Carol Lawson's already given out MVP for a first half.
How about that? Mosqueda Lewis just 1 of 2 from the line. And there is Kim Beeston's husband, Spencer. You talked to him before the game. They'll go one-on-one from time to time.
And he said that she tells him to play me tough. But now when he does, then she says, why are you playing so hard?
Hampson got fouled by Stokes. So Hampson, who took a break and was sitting on the bench, got the extra time with the media timeout back in the game, and they went to her right away.
When you look at her slim frame, you don't really realize how dominant and strong she is inside. I'm so impressed with Hampson to see her for the first time in person.
She is a senior Her mother was a terrific basketball player at BYU, in fact, an All-American. Hansen, usually a 73% free throw shooter, missed them both. Scara Lewis guarded by Maeda, who's back in the game to play point, and a moving screen on Stokes. Nope, they're going to get Maeda for an elbow.
Now, what BYU came out in was a triangle and 2 defensively.
Coach Judkins said that he wanted to take a look at that. And that on Scara Lewis and Brianna Stewart. Huskies in the bonus for the rest of the half.
It'll be interesting. Will Jeff Judkins stay in that? You know, Rick Majerus, he was an assistant for Coach Majerus. And Coach Majerus was the master of the triangle and 2. So if anybody knows it well, it's going to be Coach Judkins.
He was an assistant for 10 years at Utah, which is his alma mater, and an over and back turnover. Check it. BYU saying they called the timeout first, and it was a timeout. So no turnover, a timeout for the Cougars as they lead by 1. We have more Sweet 16 action coming your way from here in Lincoln on ESPN as DePaul takes on Texas A&M. DePaul, the team that took out Duke. That comes your way about a half hour after this game ends. Watch it on ESPN or watch ESPN.
DePaul ball. In the first 2 rounds, DePaul has averaged making 12.5 threes per game.
And we really look forward to that matchup because, you know, Gary Blair, defensive mastermind, Bob Starkey, his defensive coordinator there. It should be a fun one coming up after this.
All right, Connecticut back in a zone now. And look, they're answering up. You got to look for a trap. May come out of this defense.
Maeda being dogged out there by Jefferson. Eaton back in the game after sitting for much of the first half with 2 personal fouls. Shot clock winding down. They need a shot. They're not going to get one. Great defense by the Huskies. And there you see that mismatch with Stewart out there at 6'4", and with her arms, when she puts them up, she's about 7 feet tall.
Look at this big lineup. 6'3", 6'4", and 6'5" for the Huskies, with Kia Stokes now playing inside at the 4 and Brianna Stewart playing the 3.
If you're just joining us, Brianna Stewart just 2 free throws on the game.
They're in the triangle and 2. Maeda is face guarding Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis.
Denying her the ball, but there are other weapons on this team. Stewart 0 for 7 from the floor. Usually averages 20 points per game, leading the way for the Huskies. Stokes out on Harry, shot clock to single digits again. Beeston, that's a tough pass inside to Hampson, and it's off her hands. The UConn, the latest that they have trailed is at the 110 mark of the first half against Maryland, and their largest deficit of the season happened today when they trailed by as many as 6 points to BYU. Total domination in their 36-0 season so far. Jefferson, UConn still not able to hit from the outside, but a second chance thanks to Stewart, and on the roll, that's an offensive foul on Dolson. Garfield, great job to draw the charge.
Ashley Garfield rotates over in plenty of time outside of the restricted area, able to draw the charge. Tremendous defense by the Cougars.
Junior guard from Morgan, Utah. Terrific student athlete, and Stephanie Dolson sits down with a couple of personal fouls. BYU with the ball and a 1-point lead.
Now, the thing that BYU has struggled with as of late, though, is getting the ball. They're looking to try to get the ball inside to their 6'7" center, but the pressure on the perimeter has taken that vision away.
Shot clock at 7. Maeda blocked by Stokes. So 3 trips down the floor now. BYU having trouble getting anything resembling a good look. Stewart Stewart being guarded by Garfield. Stokes with the miss. Jefferson able to sneak in there. And Stewart with her first field goal of the game. Had to go 19 minutes to get it.
Hartley drawing the defense. Garland helped up, thinking that she had Jennifer Hampson there to help her on the backside, but Hampson gets called for the foul.
Only the first on Hampson. Stewart with a miss at the free throw line. Mosqueda Lewis was out of bounds. What's going on with the Huskies here? They are really up against it against a BYU team, a 12 seed. Gino's team 0 for 8 from the three-point line. And we go inside, 1 minute to go in the half.
Connecticut shoots 51% a game. And so far, the 10 of 29 so far.
That's 35%, second in the nation in field goal percentage. But today, they're struggling against BYU. But BYU has been struggling to get a shot off. A good look finally, and the Hawaiian hits it. Made his first points of the game, and a timeout as Jefferson is shaken up. And Gino's expression shows it all.
And Mariah Jefferson is their best and quickest defender. And as she runs into the lane, it's as if maybe she rolled that ankle.
So timeout taken with UConn down by 1. Coverage of the Division I Men's Basketball Championship Regional Finals continues tomorrow on CBS at 2 Eastern. For more information on game times and listings, go to ncaa.com. And a lot of UConn fans excited because their men's team is still alive in this tournament.
And I had them advancing as well.
Of course you did. Kevin Ollie doing a great job there. And
Shabazz Napier's doing a great, that's a great guard right there.
So UConn, this is the latest they have trailed in a game anytime this season. They have not trailed at the half since January of last year against Notre Dame when they were down by 2. Famously losing to Notre Dame 3 times until the NCAA tournament when they beat the Irish in the Final Four. Mosqueda Lewis, nope. Stokes with the rebound and the rolling putback. He is Stokes with the bucket, and now BYU tries to get the last points of the half. Maeda puts it up off the back rim. And no shot attempt. UConn will take the lead into the locker room, but they only lead by 1. 10th best team in the country shooting threes. They are at 0% so far today, but they do have a 9-2 run to end the half. Stephanie Dolson standing by with China Robinson.
Stephanie, BYU had the lead for most of the first half. What are they doing that's causing your team trouble?
They're just speeding us up. We have, as a collective team, we just have to make sure we slow down and really execute our offense, which is what we're usually really good at. And right now, shots aren't falling for us, but we'll just keep pushing it to them and run on transition offense.
Your senior leadership has been vital to this team. What will be your words to them in the locker room?
That we need Stewie to step up right now. She needs to knock down shots. The reason we made it so far last year in the tournament was because Brandon Stewart played so well, and right now we need her in the game.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
And Stewie so far just 1 for 8 from the floor, including 0 for 3 from 3. Beeston leading the way with 13 for BYU. They're only down 1. Time for the Northwestern Mutual halftime report and Kevin Nagandi.
Northwestern Mutual halftime report. Thank you so much, Pam and Carolyn. Kevin Nagandi in studio with Kara Lawson and Rebecca Lobo. So before the game, UConn was a 33-point favorite, up by only 1 point because of that surge in the final 2 minutes of this game. Now, Jennifer Hampson, if you look at her stat sheet, it's not really telling the story. Each time down the floor, she is making sure her presence is being felt.
Absolutely. At 6'7", we talked about the matchup dilemma that she would cause UConn on the offensive end because of her size and because of her length. She has the ability to change what you're trying to do on the offensive end of the floor. And here, one-on-one, she's not deterred, whether it's Stephanie Dolson or Brianna Stewart. She has the ability to score. You see the help side. They can run some lobs. They can lift it and overload. And then you look on defense there, the help side. They tried to post up Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis a couple times. Even gets beat off the dribble by Stephanie Dolson right there. And Hampson wreaking havoc on the defensive end of the floor. What a performance by BYU on both ends of the floor in this first half.
And we just heard the interview, LaChina, with Stephanie Dolson. And Stephanie was not shy. Brianna Stewart has to step up. Just 1 of 8, hit her first bucket 19 minutes into the first half.
Yeah, Stephanie talked about it. What was the difference in UConn last year from regular season to postseason? It was Brianna Stewart and her ability to hit shots. And she's gotten very makeable shots here this afternoon. Only 1 of 8 from the floor. But you take a look. I mean, three-point shooter, yes. Hampson's coming at her. That's a long arm contesting. But this is a time where she goes, that's a layup. That's a shot that Stewart normally makes. Here, she's got plenty of time because of Stephanie Dolson's screen, still unable to finish. And here again, getting inside, and that's not Hampson's arm that's giving her trouble. So Stewart just not making the shots we've seen her make all season long and from all over the floor.
And the good news, though, for UConn fans, she just has 4 points. They're up by 1. And earlier in the day, Odyssey Sims was 0 for 6 to start the game. And she finished strong. So Stewart, one of the best players in the country, if not the best player in the country, if she hits a couple shots, you build that confidence on the offensive end. She's still bringing it on the defensive end with a couple blocks. Take us inside the locker room right now. Gino's demeanor. What's his message and how's he acting? Is he a guy right now at this moment yelling at his team, or is he a guy that's settling things down?
He's normally a person who kind of knows, he has his finger on the pulse of his team better than almost any other coach I've ever been around, and says, this team is a little bit rattled. I think he'll be very calm. He'll go in and say, we have a 1-point lead, and our best player and leading scorer only has that 1 field goal. And I also think that he will look to find ways to get her the ball on the block. That's something we didn't see in the first half. Get Dolson to bring Hampson away from the basket. Stewart has become very good as a low block player, and she didn't have enough touches there in the first half.
It's kind of weird we're talking about UConn kind of being the reaction team, like because we're so right. We're so used to UConn saying, you know, I love what BYU has done in terms of running their stuff, being patient, being efficient on the offensive end of the floor. They've hit 5 threes. UConn has hit 0. Right there, that's the difference in the scoreboard. That's plus 15 for BYU and 0 points for UConn. If they can keep UConn off the offensive glass and stop fouling, that'll give them an opportunity to see if they can make this a 40-minute game. Crowd's playing a role as well. You could feel that Lincoln crowd, a pro-BYU crowd. Meanwhile, Kim Beeston. How about 5 field goals made? No one better. How about 13 points? No one bigger so far. BYU down by 1 to UConn. And let's take a closer look at your girl, Kim. She's beasting out there. Yes, she is. 13 points. You know, I think when you look at this BYU team, she's played so well in this first half, and I thought they picked on Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis a little bit defensively with Kim Beeston at times, running her off screens, making Mosqueda-Lewis have to get through those and contest. It really was a great game plan, something we don't see Connecticut give up a ton, which is a transition 3. You give Beeston a look, again, screens for her, understanding where she is. But the other thing that's a good sign for BYU is Lexi Eaton averages 17 a game. She's got 2 points. We talk about Stewart struggling. Eaton hasn't gotten her stride yet on the offensive end.
And we're used to Connecticut speeding other teams up on the offensive end. And what did Stephanie Dolson say in her interview? That BYU is speeding them up. They're the ones kind of dictating the tempo of this game. So I'm really eager to see the first 5 minutes of this second.
So what do you expect that's going to happen the first 5 minutes?
I would think UConn's going to come out swinging, and I would imagine that there'll be some kind of Brianna Stewart post-up involved.
And if BYU, if they can handle the first 5 minutes, do we have a game here?
We do.
Yes.
And if they can't turn it over, and they've got to shore up offensive rebounding. Even though I thought they controlled the physicality of the first half, I thought UConn had its way on the offensive glass.
Beeston.
Beeston.
Keep it going.
All right, we have 8 lead changes in the first 20 minutes. The next 20 coming your way after this.
Welcome back to the NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One. We are in Lincoln, Nebraska. We're at the half. Number 1 overall seed UConn only up 1 on number 12 seed BYU. Kim Beeson has been the offensive star so far for the Cougars. Here she is with LaChina Robinson.
Kim, you had 13 points in the first half. What fueled your offense?
I don't know. I think that they really have to focus in on covering down on Jen. And once we get it swung around, it opens up around the three-pointer.
You guys held Connecticut to 30 points in the first half, their lowest point total in the first half of the season. What is working on the defensive end?
We're sending 3 people back, so we're really trying to limit their transition points and also just limiting them to 1 basket, 1 and done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
BYU 5 of 10 from three-point range in the first half. UConn 0 for 8. Pam Ward along with Carolyn Peck, with China Robinson here as well. BYU, the number 12 seed. A 12 seed has never won in the Sweet 16. We've never had one in the Elite 8. First couple minutes here, Carolyn, should be very interesting.
I think that it'll determine what is going to happen in this game.
Hampson inside, misses badly. Rebound by Maeda, their shortest player on the floor at 5'5" out of Honolulu. And the floater is put up and in by Eaton, their second leading scorer, limited to only 8 minutes in the first half because of 2 fouls.
What Connecticut needs is what Stephanie Dolson talked about, Brianna Stewart. She needs to step up. She's only got 4 points so far in this ball game, normally averaging 20. There she is, 20 in NCAA.
Stewart just 1 of 8 from the floor in the first half. Bailey hit a couple of early threes that helped fuel BYU's lead. Ball will stay on this end of the floor with 11 seconds left on the shot clock.
Defensively, that's anticipation by Bria Hartley.
And it helps when you put somebody that tall on the ball in Brianna Stewart. And I think the message in the locker room was exactly what you just conveyed. Get it to Stewie.
Well, the Stewie needed to step up, going to the offensive glass, attacking in transition.
UConn's lead is 3. Their largest lead of the game is just 4, just under 13 minutes left in the first half. Beeston spots up for 3, got hit. No foul called on the follow, but a terrific offensive putback by Lexi Eaton. So Eaton coming out, Carolyn, with 4 quick points in the second half.
BYU has shown me the most confidence to be on the floor with Connecticut than anybody this season.
They were very cool and calm in our meetings yesterday. That's a block. And then a backcourt violation. Hampson being very physical down there with Dolson. And that's her 3rd block of the game.
She's 6'7" and straight up. You watch her against Stephanie Dolson. She's 6'7". I'm going to use your word, playing a verticality up top. The officials didn't see that contact underneath, but I think Gino did.
Yeah, there was definitely some body contact down there. Dolson is guarding Hampson.
But look at the matchup. Stewart is guarding the point guard right now. So that means that there is a mismatch down low inside.
Eaton taking Hartley. See Eaton coming out here very aggressively.
What did I talk about? One-on-one defense.
Hartley did not score in the first half and missed that shot. Bria Hartley usually averages 16.5 points per game, 2nd on this team, and she is scoreless. Maeda is chasing Mariah Jefferson. Dolson decided not to shoot it. Hartley finally breaks the ice. Hartley has taken the most threes of anybody on this team, and that's the first 3 that UConn has made today. They missed their first 9. BYU can't counter, but Bailey with the offensive putback. Earl Bailey's niece into double figures.
The Huskies just can't seem to get that Husky momentum that they normally get going in that second half.
This is a team that has won games by an average of 36 points this season, and that is a third foul on Eaton, and a tough one out there on the perimeter.
Connecticut's got to find a way to get Breanna Stewart going offensively. Build her confidence. She's got to see one of those perimeter shots go down because she is 0 for 3 from the three-point line.
That's a great look from Misketa Lewis, who had a triple-double earlier in this NCAA tournament, including 10 assists. And Stewart has certainly been established in the second half. And she has come through with her opportunities. Eaton staying out there. Coach Judkins deciding to keep her out there with the 3 personal fouls. A block by Stewart leads to this.
Sophomore's turned it up, offensively and defensively.
Dolson with the nice save. Misketa Lewis with an offensive rebound. And now she goes for 3. UConn starting to look like UConn here early in the second half. The lead is extended to 5, largest of the game for the Huskies. Wisely pulls it out. Beeston cuts to the basket but couldn't hold on to it. And now Hartley gets behind everybody. Eaton has to be careful with the 3 fouls, and she had to let Hartley go. Timeout, BYU.
This is what we expect from Connecticut. Gino needed the sophomore Breanna Stewart to step up her game, and she evidently got the message. First attacking the basket and finishing inside, and when she gets going, everybody else does. Kalina Misketa Lewis downtown, knocking down the 3. Don't back down.
Texas A&M getting ready to play our second game today. That will be against DePaul, but right now UConn scoring the last 7 points of this game to take a 7-point lead over BYU. The Cougars, the number 12 seed in this Lincoln region. Eaton floater won't go down. UConn led by only 1 at the half for 30 points, their lowest scoring first half of the season. Stewart blocked by Hampson. The best shot blocker in the country this year. Eaton continues to shoot.
Eaton's trying to do too much.
Hartley fouled, yes, as Beeston got a piece of it. So UConn's coming alive here in the second half. We will take a timeout and come right back to Lincoln.
Connecticut has a 9-point lead, and it has been led by the charge of sophomore Breanna Stewart. She has done a tremendous job of getting to the glass, getting around the rim, and scoring for the Connecticut Huskies. She has answered the call, and when you turn up your offense, it's like kindling to the fire. It turns up your defense as well. Gino Auriemma has to be happy with how Connecticut has started this second half.
Breanna Stewart just 1 field goal, 1 of 8 from the floor in the first half. She has 6 so far in the second half. Bria Hartley, who was scoreless at the break, has 7 points. So that duo, Stewart and Hartley, has scored 13 of UConn's 16 second half points. There you see Stewart's numbers and Hartley at the line. 10-0 UConn run. Flicker was tied at 37.
Now with the press, he has Breanna Stewart all the way up on the basketball. He has challenged her to play 94 feet of basketball.
Dolson has been working hard against Hampson all day. They bring the double team with Stewart. Eaton left out there with 3 fouls. And here's Jefferson. Jefferson turned her ankle late in the first half, but appears to be A-okay. Stewart off the Dolson screen. Can't get the bounce. Bailey with the rebound. Dolson is a terrific screener for the Huskies.
You got to give Hanson the ball while she's by herself. If you waited too long, double team could be there.
And Maeda comes in there with the floater, her second field goal. She was huge in the upset win over Nebraska to get here with 3 made threes. Hartley looking like a different player in the second half. Hampson not even looking to score initially, but the nice turnaround. You really can't defend that, right, with a 6'7" player?
She is scoring through contact. Impressive.
Average 18 points per game on the season, just 6 so far. Has gotten 6 shots off against this Husky defense.
Check out Hampson over Stephanie Dolson. High release, you just can't get to that. 6'7", nice touch, terrific finish.
Morgan Bailey has just picked up her 3rd foul for BYU, so 2 of their starters, and Bailey and Eaton out there with 3 fouls. And Coach Jeff Judkins has not made even a slight move to get somebody to check into the game. Figures it's all or nothing right now. Crucial period, down 8. Maeda, short. Oh, Eaton lucky enough to get her 4th there, and there's the 4th on Bailey. Picks up a couple in a hurry, and now I don't think Coach Judkins has a choice but to get her out. Or am I wrong? He's done a great job in his 13th year, and yes, he will go to his bench as Ashley Garfield will check back in. They're going to lose about 4 inches of height in this exchange.
Now, the thing that Jeff Judkins talked about, he said he wanted the opportunity to coach against Gina Ariema. When he was assistant coach on the men's side, he said we coached against Bobby Knight, we coached against Rick Pitino, and he said he puts Gina Ariema in that same category. So he does a lot of women's coaches. He talked about Muffet McGraw and Pat Summit as well.
Judson's 10 years as a men's assistant at Utah. Rick Majerus took this job because he said he wasn't getting any offers on the men's side. Thought he'd only be a women's coach for a couple of years, but he loves it. Has totally bought into it now in his 13th season. Stewart took it away from Eaton, and now she has committed her 4th foul. Wow, so major foul trouble for the Cougars. Between them, Bailey and Eaton average over 27 points per game, and now they're both going to be on the bench with 4 personal fouls.
What made that all go was Brianna Stewart. So much is made about what you do offensively. She has turned up her intensity on the defensive end.
All kicked out by Beeston. And the ball stays with the Huskies. Jefferson tried to get it in and did somehow get it into Mosqueda Lewis. Shot clock did not reset. Jefferson knifes her way through traffic, and another block for Hampson. Stephanie Dolson thought she was fouled. Her team is up 9. We'll take a timeout in Lincoln. Connecticut with a little bit of breathing room, up 9 on BYU. Moments ago, Gino Ariema with our LaChana Robinson.
Coach, you only had a 1-point lead at the half. That is now 9 points. What was your message to your team?
Well, I mean, we didn't make a shot. I mean, I think, you know, Bria and Stewie are way better offensive players than we played in the first half. And I thought every time we made a little bit of a defensive mistake, they knocked in a 3. So we thought if we could just keep getting good shots like we have been and just tighten up a couple of things defensively, we would be okay.
A lot of time left here in the second half. What is it going to take to fend off this feisty BYU team?
Well, it's not supposed to be easy at this time of the year, you know? So you just have to dig in and play hard and execute your stuff. And basically in the next 11 minutes, whichever team makes shots is going to win.
Thank you, Coach.
And the thing that Gino Ariema talked to us about yesterday was confidence. He knows his team normally shoots 51%. He knows the shots that they missed in the first half. They have the potential and will make those shots in the second half. And not only does he have it, his players play with that kind of confidence as well.
They shot 36% in the first half, 47% so far in the second half. And Bria Hartley, who is scoreless in the first half, has 11 points in the first 8+ minutes of the second half. BYU hanging around, down 9. Only the third 12 seed to make it to the Sweet 16 in the history of the NCAA tournament. Brianna Stewart is a matchup nightmare over to get that one off of Hampson, rather.
She's got that Connecticut swagger. I asked her when she got it. She said really after the Big East tournament last year, and that has carried through. So she knew when she missed those early shots, never fear, they were going to show up. They were going to fall for her in this second half.
She was pretty much unstoppable in the NCAA tournament last year. Jefferson whistled for the foul.
You just look at this, Stewart, when she catches the basketball, even though it's over 6'7", the confidence to catch and let it ride.
All ping-pongs around. Hampson comes up with it. Now the shot on the baseline, well short, but the big girl is there and has a chance for a three-point play.
The hands of Jennifer Hampson on this offensive rebound to gather the soft touch with power underneath the basket to finish and draw the foul.
Hampson's mother was an All-American basketball player at BYU, Teresa Spalding, who's also 6'7". Jennifer said she hated basketball when she was a kid. All of her friends were gymnasts, so believe it or not, she was a gymnast for a while.
Thank goodness her rest of her friends decided, when it got about middle school, that they wanted to play basketball.
Yeah, it's worked out for her. She's an All-American volleyball player as well. Her mom in attendance this afternoon.
Gino told LaChina, whoever makes shots wins this ball game. But the defensive intensity for Connecticut has picked up. Will BYU get shot opportunities?
Connecticut, the best team defensively in the nation, and giving up on average only 47 points per game. Outside, and a hit. It's Beeston, had 13 in the first half. That's her first points in the second half. All the way across to Hartley. They work it back to the other side. Hartley left it short. Mosqueda Lewis has been really good on the offensive glass this afternoon.
She's playing a role because Brianna Stewart is having to defend away from the basket. Mosqueda Lewis has got to be on the glass.
And a triple-double against St. Joe's in the last round. 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. Stephanie Dolson had one earlier this year for UConn. Shot clock winding down and just thrown up there. And Beeston was patting her chest, saying it was my bad. She didn't realize she had more time to get that shot off as Harry commits a foul. Final spot in Philadelphia's Frozen Four will be filled tomorrow. Face-off in men's hockey at 7:30 Eastern on ESPNU, and watch ESPN. Follow every championship at NCAA.com, the official online home for all 89 NCAA championships. So Connecticut getting to the line much more often than BYU. BYU 0 for 3 from the line. Connecticut now 11 of 16.
Jeff Judkins is rolling the dice. Morgan Bailey and Lexi Eaton both have 4 fouls.
Inside 10 minutes. Gets his big scorers out there. Figuring it's now or never for the Cougars. Hampson steps away from traffic and has it rim out. Now Jefferson looks over to Gino Auriemma to get a play call. Mosqueda Lewis from the outside, cups out. Hampson couldn't hang on to it, so Dolson picked it. Dolson. Offensive rebound again from Mosqueda Lewis, and Bailey had to be really careful with the 4 fouls, so she could not defend her effectively. Double-double for Mosqueda Lewis, coming off a triple-double last week, and BYU takes the timeout, down 11.
It's a 30-second timeout.
So for the 8th career double-double for Mosqueda Lewis.
6 offensive rebounds, staying on the glass inside. She's getting good position down low and putbacks. That's been huge for UConn.
Mosqueda Lewis playing just 24 games this season and has come back very strongly in the postseason. UConn, the #1 overall seed here in the Lincoln region, and when we are done, we are really looking forward to Texas A&M and DePaul, and then tomorrow, the Stanford region. That's the only region where the top 4 seeds all got through intact.
But it's still going to be interesting, especially that North Carolina-South Carolina matchup. North Carolina beat South Carolina, but that was early in the season, and I think it was before South Carolina knew what their identity was. They've got one of the best front courts in the country.
Of course, Stanford playing on their home court. Eaton misses. Sinead Blumekay's brilliant career winding down on the farm.
See, Lexi Eaton right now is guarding Stephanie Dolson. Now they got switched back. But still, now she's having to defend Brianna Stewart away from the basket.
And with 4 fouls. Mariah Jefferson, quick as lightning. That's her first basket of the second half. She started out like gangbusters in the first half with steals and 6 points. And this is now the largest lead of the game for the Huskies. Bailey over Dolson. Second straight double-figure game for her. 18 against Nebraska to upset the Huskers to get here. Stewart over Eaton. Shot just has not been there from the outside today for Stewart. Connecticut just 2 for 16 from 3 today, Carolyn. Usually they're about 38%, which is 10th best in the nation.
But they're getting on the offensive glass. 13 offensive boards. And that's tough because you're going against Jennifer Hampson, who's 6'7" inside.
Hampson that time with the hard foul on Stewart. She'll be shooting free throws when we come back to Nebraska.
The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by the Quicksilver Card from Capital One. Earn 1.5% cash back on every purchase.
We are in Lincoln, Nebraska, and this was a little earlier today. The DePaul Blue Demons and fans getting ready to ride the bus to come over here. This is their send-off when they came down from Chicago to Lincoln for the Sweet 16, and we are collecting the best photos around the women's tournament from coaches, athletes, and fans. Go to ESPNW.com/tourney photos for more of the best social photos throughout the tournament, and they will play this team, Texas A&M, out of the SEC. We have Jordan Jones and Brittany Rinko. We have a couple of really exciting point guards in that second game today.
Brittany Rinko likes to shoot it for DePaul, and Jordan Jones for Texas A&M likes to distribute. She had 16 assists in their last game against JMU.
So we look forward to that. DePaul scored 104 points in regulation against Oklahoma in their first round game. But right now, BYU in an uphill battle against UConn. And they are not getting second chance points, and UConn's getting a ton of them. It's Hampson's 3rd foul.
Look, in order to beat Connecticut, you got to make shots. And when you get an opportunity like Lexi Eaton had there, you have to take full advantage and knock those shots down. Otherwise, you're not going to beat Connecticut.
UConn in the bonus for the rest of the game. And second chance points very much in favor of UConn for the game. And they're not giving up many offensive rebounds on the other end.
Well, Kalena Mosqueda Lewis, 7 offensive boards. She's 1 for 4 from 3, so her scoring isn't coming from where we normally see it come from for her.
Dolson 1 out of 2. Let's go over to China Robinson with more.
Well, Jeff Judkins in the last timeout said to his team, we have to get shots in the lane. He does not want them settling for jump shots. He said, look at the foul count. We have to create some contact and try to get easy baskets around the rim.
UConn has only committed 2 fouls, and they're not able to get a shot off on that trip down.
But when China was talking about, Coach Judkins talking about getting the ball inside, it takes away that freedom, that confidence. Remember how they started the game? Morgan Bailey feeling the freedom to take the threes. Now you start second-guessing and forcing things inside.
And it's tough. I mean, it's easier said than done, but to get inside against UConn with their huge height advantage is a difficult thing. Stewart was not boxed out, and she made BYU pay.
Sophomore turned it up in the second half.
A little bit. There's 4 points in the first half.
I'd be interested to know what Stephanie Dolson's conversation was as a senior leader to Brianna Stewart.
Stewart at the half, 1 for 8 from the floor. Gino Auriemma sounded calm when China Robinson talked to him coming out of the locker room in the first half. But yeah, I think you're right. I think Dolson had some words to say. And Mariah Jefferson lets her 3-point shot do the talking. Second half belonging to the Huskies. BYU takes another timeout.
It's a full timeout.
Mariah Jefferson has really improved from that perimeter 3-point shot and recognizing when she's open, she's got to knock down that shot. She was going to be left open. Well, now, not so much, not anymore.
The Division I Women's Basketball Championship presented by Capital One rolls on tomorrow afternoon with more Sweet 16 action. First at noon Eastern. This is in Louisville. Maryland takes on Tennessee, followed by LSU and Louisville. Both games are also live on Watch ESPN. So Cam Ward here along with Carolyn Peck, and BYU fought bravely in the first half, and now Connecticut has stretched this out. Looking forward to tomorrow, Maryland, Tennessee, an intriguing matchup. A lot of people thought Louisville was shorted with a 3 seed.
Well, Louisville has to play LSU. And yes. LSU is very dangerous. And you look at what they did against Western Kentucky, you can't count them out. Now, they're down to 7 players. John Kinney, she went out with a concussion, will not be available to play. But you got to believe that Nikki Caldwell is going to find some kind of defensive little junk, something to try to throw at Jeff Walz on his home court.
LSU able to take care of number 2 seed in that region, West Virginia, last week. So basketball continuing tomorrow on the ESPN family of networks.
Why didn't you want to talk about that Maryland-Tennessee game?
I'm feeling an upset. Perhaps.
Tennessee has Isabel Harrison and Bashara Graves inside.
Maryland has Liz Thomas.
Will Megan Simmons make shots for the Lady Vols?
UConn on a 15-2 run after BYU pulled to within 6 here in the second half. Hampson could not catch up with it. BYU coming in here again out of the West Coast Conference, where they were picked to finish 4th, finished 2nd to Gonzaga, lost to Gonzaga in the championship game. And their path here, how about upsetting number 5 NC State and then taking out 4th seed Nebraska in Los Angeles. It's been a great year for BYU. And here they are running up against what has been the best team in the country this year, along with Notre Dame. Stokes gets fouled.
The thing that I've been impressed with BYU is their mental preparation. They did not show any signs of intimidation when they started this ball game.
4th foul on Hampson. We talked to Jeff Judkins and some of his players yesterday, and really they were all very calm, cool, and collected. Kim Beeston said, we have nothing to lose, everything to gain. And they really believe that they could play with anybody, including UConn. And certainly for the first half, they did just that. BYU trailed by 1 at the half after leading for much of the first half. But UConn has busted it open here in the last 16 minutes.
The thing when you play Connecticut, though, you have to maintain your intensity and that belief and that discipline for 40 minutes, because they're not going to let up. They play the same way. They play the same way they practice. And even talk about in times practice is harder than games because of how intense they have to play.
Shot clock winding down. Mariah Jefferson can remedy that. And does, going in left-handed, but it just came off the rim. As we go inside 4 minutes to play. Bailey from the outside hit a couple of those early after hitting just 9 all season.
Connecticut wears on you. And as the game goes on, you get a little bit less lift in your shot. A little less confidence in that shot.
And they have used their starters for a lot of minutes. They look like they could be getting a little winded out there. UConn, they practice so hard. They're in terrific condition. Shot clock winding down. Dolson just ticked off the rim, so a fresh 30. Another offensive rebound from Mosqueda Lewis. Now Gina wants to work the clock. Brianna Banks is going to check in for the first time for UConn at the next whistle. UConn's only used 6 players in this game. Maeda with the steal. And Jefferson almost picked her pocket from behind and was frustrated that she didn't. Bailey crashes to the glass and got fouled. We take a timeout. UConn up by 20. Time to take a look at tonight's Capital One Impact performance, and it is Mosqueda Lewis coming off a triple-double in her last game against St. Joe's, a double-double today. Great work on the boards.
Well, normally you see her knocking down the three-point shot, but where she got her work done was cleaning the glass. 8 offensive rebounds for the Huskies. So when you got Brianna Stewart outside taking shots, now she has the confidence Kalina Mosqueda Lewis will clean up her misses down low.
That is why she is our Capital One Cup impact player. And there you see her day, Mosqueda Lewis. One of the reasons why UConn has 27 second chance points to just 8 for the Cougars.
She came in the meeting with us yesterday, and Kalina Mosqueda Lewis was with Stephanie Dolson and Brianna Stewart, and she kind of referred to herself as a forward post, not so much of the guard anymore.
And when we were discussing what position Brianna Stewart plays, she said, I believe the quote is, Stewie ain't no post.
She's on the perimeter.
Yeah, she can play just about anywhere, obviously, Brianna Stewart. She's a matchup nightmare. Now, Bailey goes out for Ashley Garfield for BYU.
Now BYU going to a 2-3 zone.
BYU had a 5-minute scoring drought and just turned the ball back over, and Brianna Banks is indeed in for the first time for the Huskies.
When you look at BYU, Jennifer Hampson, she took the year off from playing volleyball, so she redshirted. She could go back next year and play with her volleyball team, but with her showing today, I bet there's some WNBA coaches that are going, you know what, we could use 6'7" with her presence. She's not just 6'7", she's 6'7" and can play.
Very athletic in there, and yes, indeed, she will. That's her 6th block of the game. You just said it. She's a very good athlete. She will play volleyball this fall for BYU. She's an All-American in that sport. A block for Stewart on this end. Hampson gets fouled and will head to the free throw line. An All-American volleyball player at BYU. Let's take a look, and she's got some quick ups.
How intimidating would that be to be on the other side of the net with that kind of block? The Spice, there's nothing Spike, you're not going to do anything about that. Back in 2012, she went and played a basketball game in November in Arizona and then flew home and played a volleyball game in the same day. 13 kills in that game.
Yeah, led her team in kills. We got a quick glimpse at her parents. Her mom, Teresa, was an All-American basketball player at BYU. Stewart put it on the floor and lost it momentarily at least. Mosqueda Lewis picks it up and puts it in. BYU has just burned its last timeout. And I think Coach Judkins is doing that. Yep, he's going to take Hampson out of the game. So Jennifer Hampson's brilliant basketball career coming to a close. And these mostly Nebraska fans, with a loud ovation for the two seniors as Kim Beeston heads to the bench. Beeston averaged 11 points per game and was a terrific defensive stopper for this team. Led the West Coast Conference in threes this year, and boy, a valiant effort for BYU, but the Huskies just ultimately too much.
And Jeff Judkins complimented Kim Beeston, said that she might be one of the smartest players that he has ever coached.
And she completes her collegiate career as best defender, also an all-academic performer in the West Coast Conference with a 3.6 GPA, so a great career for her. But we're inside a minute now, and UConn will await the winner of our second game between Texas A&M and DePaul. DePaul and UConn know each other very well from the old Big East, and Doug Bruno, the head coach for DePaul, was an assistant on the Olympic team under Gino when they won gold in the last Olympics. So we are still perfect, Carolyn Peck, on both sides. Notre Dame taking care of Oklahoma State earlier today, and UConn about to put away BYU.
They are on the trail to meet and possibly have two undefeateds meet for the first time for the national championship. But I can tell you this, that as much as we talk about the pursuit of perfection, that is motivating a lot of other teams that are trying to stop that collision course from happening.
Now, but if you're another team in this tournament, when you look at this and you say, well, UConn maybe not so infallible because they were severely tested by a number 12 seed in this game.
Well, number 12, don't get fooled by the 12 because BYU is better than a number 12 seed. They've demonstrated that today.
Gino Auriemma getting his bench into the game right now. Tierney Lowell, excuse me, a walk-on freshman is out there. Mackenzie Morrison with the steal for BYU. She's a freshman for the Cougars. Brianna Stewart still out there, gets the rebound. Morrison still playing hard out there, getting her moments here in the NCAA tournament. Averaged about 3 points per game.
No quitting the Cougars.
And that kind of personifies their entire season. They will end their year at 28-7. Nia Chong in for the first time for UConn. They really were tested in the first half, but will come away in their 21st straight Sweet 16 with their 43rd straight win overall as they beat BYU 70-51. And you saw Gino Auriemma, you could maybe read his lips. He went up to Coach Judkins and said simply, great job, and it certainly was a great job by BYU.
It was a great job by BYU, but it demonstrated the resilience of the Connecticut Huskies. Even though they missed shots early, they could rely on their defense. They could rely on turning up the intensity in the second half, and that's exactly what they did, especially Brianna Stewart.
So UConn advances into the Elite Eight. They will play the winner of Texas A&M and DePaul. That is coming up in about 30 minutes right here on ESPN. And then the trip to the Final Four will be decided Monday night at 9:30 Eastern right here in Lincoln, 8:30 local time. BYU did not score a field goal in the last 7 minutes and 49 seconds of the half, and that put it away for them. LaChina Robinson over there with Gino Auriemma.
Coach, this was a very close game in the first half. You win by a large margin of victory. What was the turning point?
I thought Bria Hartley was the turning point. I thought we really got out hard in transition, and she just started attacking the basket. You know, I don't think we were doing much of that in the first half. We were playing more of a half-court game, and you know, the tempo was more to our liking, and we just have some tough guys, you know, that they know when it's time to step up.
A tighter first half than UConn is used to, but you continue your pursuit of perfection. What did you learn about your team in this game today?
Well, we're like any other team, you know. If we don't make shots, you know, we're susceptible to, you know, to anything. I thought this game would be hard because BYU is not an easy matchup for anybody, and they're a very, very good team, and they're very physical. But when the second half came, make me forget the first half. Let's put it that way.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
And we have Brianna Stewart. Brianna, tough shooting night for you, especially in the first half. But the second half, you kind of got things going. What changed?
I think just the mindset of not settling. I think in the first half there was a couple of times where I could have tried to drive it to the basket and either get to the free throw line or get a layup, and you know, I tried to do that in the second half.
Stephanie Dolson told us at halftime that we need Brianna Stewart in order to be successful. What has she said to you about your role on this team?
You know, I think she's always given me so much support. She knows that you know, they want me to make the big shots or knock down shots, and you know, that's what I have to do for them. I have to come in the game and be able to knock down shots.
I noticed you have some blood on your knee. You little banged up. Is everything all right? It's dripping.
Yeah, everything's good. I guess I'm just a little bloody today.
Well, congratulations. You got the victory.
Thank you.
Looks like a nasty floor burn there going down all the way, but Stewart's going to play through that. Both Brianna Stewart and Bria Hartley had 12 points in the second half after UConn struggled in the first half, in which they only shot 36% and led BYU by 1 point, but they advance on to the Elite Eight.
10 blocks and 20 offensive rebounds. Big day inside for UConn.
So UConn takes it 70-51. Coming up next on ESPN, the NCAA Women's Championship studio. Come back here in about 30 minutes as DePaul takes on Texas A&M for a spot in the Elite Eight and a chance to take on UConn. Let's go to Kevin Nagandi in the studio. We'll see you soon for Game 2.
Pam, Carolyn, thank you so much. Here in the studio, Kevin Nagandi, Kara Lawson, and Rebecca Lobo. Well, just seeing that blood, it just shows that you have to earn it against BYU. They made you play a full 40 minutes here. We'll get to Brianna Stewart what she did in the second half, but Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis inside, working the boards, a career day for her.
Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis coming off the triple-double in their second-round win, and one of the things that she has been so good at in this NCAA tournament is helping UConn win the rebound battle. Tilt the scales in their favor. And we know she can shoot from beyond the arc, but her ability down low as a small forward, taking advantage, her size and her strength on that end, set up so many good things for them, particularly in the second half. We see the offensive board there, sets up a three for herself. BYU did not have a player that they could match up with in terms of her size and her strength. Trying to box her out, just can't get her out of the lane. And when UConn was missing shots, and they were below in terms of their normal, efficient offensive game, the offensive rebounds, they got 20 of them in this game, and Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis led the way with 8.
And Brianna Stewart was a different Brianna Stewart in the second half than the one we saw in the first half. And it was her mindset more than anything. She scored the first 2 baskets for Connecticut in the second half. And as she mentioned in her interview, instead of just settling for three-pointers or the jump shots like you see here in the first half, these are the kind of shots she's getting. Yes, she's very capable of making them, but they weren't falling for her in the first half. An uncharacteristic missed layup, and then you have an uncharacteristic missed offensive rebound opportunity. So in the second half, she had a different mindset here. Just a great job getting on the offensive glass, attacking the basket. We saw a lot more scores from Brianna Stewart in the paint in the second half, and a lot more shot opportunities in the paint as well.
There's that difference there. 12 points for Brianna Stewart in the second half, and she made 5 field goals and 5 rebounds as UConn outscored BYU 40-22 in the second half. BYU dealing with some foul issues in the second half, also couldn't knock down the outside three. They had 5 made threes in the first 20 minutes, just 1 of 10 in the second 20 minutes. So a lot of teams will try and take a look at this as UConn advances the Elite Eight for the 9th straight season. It's really hard to watch tape of this and say, we can find a weakness and exploit it because there are not many 6'7" players around, and Jennifer Hampson's stock went skyrocketing in this tournament. So when you watch the tape here, can you really get anything to help you, I don't know, just put together a game plan and a scouting report against UConn?
I think you can, but you have to understand, because basketball is such a game of matchups, no other team has a player like Jennifer Hampson, so they can't do the same things on the defensive and offensive end. But you can show your team UConn can be fallible. They can have stretches where they don't shoot well from the outside, and that's what this first half was all about. So I think you take some things away. You also tell your 3-guard, you have to box out Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis because she's going to attack the offensive glass.
There are little areas that you can exploit, but the thing that makes it so difficult for UConn is you have to do it for 40 minutes. And there's a clear distinction. You are not beating Connecticut unless you make shots. There is not a better picture than the first 20 minutes and the second 20 minutes. You referenced it, Kevin. BYU makes 5 threes. They're right in the game. They make 1 3. They're not. You have to make shots if you want to upset UConn.
And you talk about Jennifer Hampson and her stock. I mean, she went against Stephanie Dolson, who was probably the top post post player in this draft, and she played really well. I think this is a kid who's elevated her WNBA stock into the first round.
We're talking about the national defending champs who remain undefeated. Was this a good thing to play in a tight game for them, considering they've dominated teams day in and day out all season long?
I think it's always a good thing when you rely on someone like Brianna Stewart so much. And sometimes as a teammate, maybe you can take for granted everything that she gives you. And then all of a sudden she has a subpar output in the first 20 minutes, and you're still up 1, and everything's still okay, and you come out of that. I just think from a mental standpoint, it's good for them to get over that type of hurdle in the Sweet 16.
And I think the past 2 games have been really big for Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis to see that she can impact the game in a lot of ways other than just taking the 3-point shot. This has been up and down season for her because of illness and injury, but she's had a huge impact, as you talked about, on the offensive glass. Yeah. I mean, just a bigger impact than she had in the regular season.
Triple-double the last game, and then this game, 19 points and 13 rebounds. UConn moving on to the Elite Eight. They will play